Here is our post game of the Bears versus Washington. It's not a happy time to be a Chicago Bears fan after that performance. We promised a post game. I'm glad we didn't do it right after because I think I would have thrown the TV out the window.
Yeah.
Computer out the window. It seems like everybody waited. I'm looking on YouTube. A lot of people are doing a post game right now. So a lot of people waited to do one. So the Bears lose 18-15. What a freaking score that was. Lose literally on the last play of the game. Tip drill, touchdown. Like I said right before we record, I don't know if there was the only time I had fun was when the defense sort of kind of started to clamp down a little bit in the second half. And then we had that good drive in the fourth quarter where Caleb was making his finally hitting passes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the only time I had fun watching this game. Like the first half, I was like, you ever not enjoy a game? You just look at your phone. Like that's where I was at. I was like, I'm not enjoying this at all.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing's going well on offense. Defense, I guess you could say played well because I only gave up 18 points, I guess you could say they played well. But there was a lot of missed tackles. There was penalties all over the place, false starts, unsportsmanlike conduct. So like every time we punted it seemed like we were getting unsportsmanlike or whatever. So just a lot of undisciplinary things that would start to happen. I know it was loud there, so the O-line was jumping and stuff like that, but just nothing seemed to go right. I am now going to start a petition that the Bears never get a bye week again because this is how you play off a bye week. You're going to not make the playoffs. This was bad.
Tough loss. Lots of stuff to dissect. I think the elephant in the room is the Hail Mary. That's what everyone's talking about, quite frankly, online. We get it. Throw for a 52-yard touchdown pass. That's a tip drill, perfectly lands in Noah Brown's hands. Yeah, it's going to be the talk of the town. But I think what gets lost in this and what kills me and you, even with the worst possible game they played, defense did bend don't break to a T, the best it could for 4 quarters. And fourth quarter, finally, you have the offense finding some sort of traction is all. Like some solid drives. One of those getting freaking demolished by questionable play call at the goal line for one of them.
We'll get to
immediately after that response drive, go down the field. Caleb has some of his better throws of the day, and you go up by 3. Usually that's the end of the story. Play some good defense and, Hail Mary wise, just don't let a guy leak out and knock that ball to the ground.
I'm sitting there watching that, and I know we're jumping all over. We score, and we get the 2-point conversion, great 2-point conversion call, and they only have one timeout with like 25, 30 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, we can do this. Like, we got the mojo. We can do this. And even as he was doing the freaking Hail Mary, I'm like, only Aaron Rodgers hits these. Like, only Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers hits these Hail Marys.
Yeah, well.
There's no way that they're going to hit this. And I saw it in slow motion. You know how fast it was. As soon as we tipped it, it was like slow motion into the guy's fucking hands. And I'm like, this is totally a Bears thing to happen. Like, this is the doink, this, like, it happens to the freaking Bears. And I know that I'm saying I was bored with the game. I think it's because the Bears were giving up a lot of yards, and I just kept telling myself, like, it's okay to give up yards. You're just giving up field goals. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And I kept telling myself that. I think it was just like before the bye week, anytime the offense were on the field, I felt good about a long-ish drive or some type of scoring drive, field goal or touchdown. Today, every time that offense came onto the field, I was like, oh, God, I got to watch the offense again. It was that type of thing. Until, the fourth quarter. Well, third and fourth quarter, they started to run the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Then Caleb Williams started to like hit receivers with some really tough throws. I thought they ran Caleb Williams a lot. I know some of it was on him, but some they designed it. QB draw this, inside zone this. And I'm like, we literally just had a pregame where I said, you can't do that. Like, you cannot do that. A QB draw here and there, fine. Every quarterback does it that can move. I'm okay with that. But he took a lot of hits. He took off when he needed to, which is okay, but just he ran a lot. I think he was the second leading rusher. And when you're the second leading rusher with 41 yards, that's a problem.
That was conveniently not brought up on stat graphics on the broadcast. I get Jaden Daniels runs a lot, and he ran for 56 yards on the day, or 52. I was like, hey, it's a random small part, whatever. But yes, not really many other options. I mean, DeAndre Swift had a day, and really without that 56-yard touchdown run, we could really be talking about what is a completely depressing game. This one's deflating because it's a win that was basically we took a loss out of the jaws of victory here.
Yep.
But without that DeAndre Swift 56-yarder on the great outside run, great bounce to the outside, great presence on the sideline, we're not talking the same game. We're talking like what the hell happened over a week, even more than we already do. I'll tell you what you're mentioning though with the box sheet on the yards. Like, I didn't realize. I guess maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to the box score, but it almost gave up 500 yards offense today.
Well, that's kind of why I was sitting there, and they kept showing Jaden Daniels passing. And he was at like 250, and then he was at 280. And I'm like, oh my God, he's having a lot of yards. And it just seemed like when they ran the ball, it was for first downs. Like they were getting good chunks. Brian Robinson Jr. got 4.1 yards. Eckler only ran the ball 7 times, but in 7 times he averaged 7.4 yards. When Jane Daniels took off, I was surprised he ran as much as he did, eight times, which I thought was going to be less than that. He averaged 6.5 yards, so we were giving up those. And then he threw for 326. So that's why I was sitting there going, oh my God, we are actually giving up a lot of yards. But it just kept churning into field goals. So every time it did that, I said, okay, like they're not getting touchdowns. But the other thing I started to realize was the amount of time that they had the ball and how much our defense was on the field. As it continued to roll, I would have to check again. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah. So Washington had it for 32 minutes and the Bears had it for 27. And the only reason why the Bears had it for 27 was because the drive to get down and they fumbled it. And then the second drive took a while. It was those 2 drives that really gave them some minutes.
Yeah, they kind of grinded out in the fourth quarter, especially. There's a lot of like quick drives early on.
Up until that point, Washington was dominating the time of possession. And so our defense was constantly on the field, giving up those plays. We were out without Brinsker and Kyle Gordon. So I think that started to show some effect in some of those open plays that you had and some of the missed tackles we had. Washington actually looks pretty fast on offense. This is like the first time I've sat down and really watched the whole game of them. They have some speedy receivers. Their offensive line really blocked pretty well. Yes. I know we actually started to get to Jaden a little bit, but I actually thought they blocked pretty well. But we said this pregame, Dan Quinn is a great defensive-minded guy.
I actually applaud him because I know that teams have kind of seen the trends on what like Shane Waldron likes to put in as regular play calls every game. He's done better at mixing up and finding new ways to make new plays, but he still has his tendencies. And I'll tell you, freaking Dan Quinn was zeroed in. He knows exactly what was going to be called. He had those guys ready. No receiver screens worked at all today. And actually the Bears, I think the Bears by the second half tried to basically bail on them. I haven't seen them try to leave plays that they have used as bread and butter plays all year until this game. Because I think they realized that the first half, Commanders have their number. They just knew it was coming. Right. It seemed like it was very, how do I put this? Not pitch. Well, pitching. Yeah, it was very pitch and catch. Like it was like, oh, this is easy. We're just gonna, either dial up the pressure or we just, zone in on those receivers and we make it hard as hell for throwing lanes to come through.
Well,
The only thing they didn't do decent with, and even before the touchdown, was run game seemed to get good chunk yards. They just couldn't get passes.
yeah, Dan Quinn was lining up those defensive ends wide. They would line up the linebackers wide. They were forcing one guy outside, one guy inside, stunning on the Bears again, and they were able to get them. And one of the things Bears struggled with in the beginning of the year was getting bull rush, so they just wanted to bull rush the old linemen, which we struggle with. And they were able to do it. And Dan Quinn was able to dial them up. And, I think he calls them and somebody else calls it with him, because you see him doing signals on the sideline. There's a couple of them, so I think they all do it. Big four things that stuck out, if you think about four defining moments, was what a horrible fourth down call when we went for the fourth down, where they threw it to Moore and he got tackled. I thought that was a horrible fourth down play call. We did it earlier in the year and it worked, but once you do it once, it's not going to maybe work again.
That's an example of where it was, to me, Dan Quinn knew it was coming. And this is something where he told his guys, like, look, they like these shallow routes to the outside boundary. Just be ready. Like, as soon as you see any sign, read and react. And that felt like a perfect example of, like, that's a Bears play that Shane likes to call. And clearly Dan knew what the hell it was going to be.
Right. So that was a defining moment. Giving the ball to Doug Kramer was a moment. Trying to give it to him, I guess.
Whatever. You do that stuff when you're ahead or you are in a good spot, not on the second to last offensive drive of your game.
If you're up by like 7 points and it's like the second or third quarter and it's not a defining drive, you can do that. But, and I tweeted right after it happened, I said, I love Doug Kramer, but you don't put him in that position. You probably practiced it. Good for you. But you have Roschon Johnson. The reason why he is on the team is to get you 3rd and 1 runs, 2nd and 1 runs, and goal line runs.
And the reason why they put him in the active roster after the first 2 weeks and stuck with him. That's their best number 2 back. So again, you look like I talked about this with you before we jumped on. Sure, you look like a smart guy if this is pulled off or not, but otherwise you look like a complete idiot, if it doesn't work. But if we're going to be blatantly honest and on the side of what was the most that makes sense, people point this out. Roschon Johnson is near unstoppable at the 1 this year. Like red zone inside the 5, he has been a complete tank. He bulldozes people over. Guess we're talking a dude that's like, I'm off the top of my head, I believe 6'4"-ish, 6'5", that 220 plus pounds, that just is a wrecking crew kind of guy. You got to give him the ball. And they learned from their mistake. They did that second drive, but it's like, what happens there if you have a drive where you can punch it in? You don't have to put and I know hindsight's 20/20, but you don't put the Commanders in a situation where you're for a Hail Mary. Now you got to have them where the defense plays you have to play by their rules. It's Eberflus's defense commanding the tone for 3 minutes.
We'll never know. He's 6 foot, 225 pounds.
He's 6 foot?
Yes.
I thought he was taller.
But still, 6 foot, 225 pounds. He's a wrecking ball, and he's proven it. So no matter what it is, he's a wrecking ball. And then you have Doug Kramer in there, who's proven he can block. And think about it. You score there. If you could stop them from scoring, you get the ball back and go on another drive, score again. You're in a better position now.
Yeah.
And I know that they were the Washington was put in a bad spot when they get that fumble, but still, the way they're moving the ball, you're like, they finally going to break one. Bend don't break, and at some point it could break. That's the challenge here. The other 2 scenarios, I guess, are both the same thing. Tyron Stevenson on the final thing and the Hail Mary. Those 2 things, those 4 things stuck out in the game. I think Caleb took a step back besides those 2 drives. He took a step back there because I know he was getting pressure. I thought there was times where he didn't have to move, and let me say this. A lot of times he stood in that pocket and threw the ball. And good for him. He was getting pressure, did it. But there were wide open people he could have gotten the ball to. And Tony Romo kept pointing it out too. Like, look, he's looking at him.
I know.
And doesn't get rid of it.
And I tried to listen to that best because I don't really care for Tony Romo personally, but I did through the
EIU.
Oh. EIU's fine. But when you're look, I heard this man go when it was 4th down and 1 for the Reds for the I keep almost saying it like you did for the pregame show for the Commanders. And this is the drive before they punt where Chicago drives down, gets a touchdown, takes the lead. Where he's going, oh, you should go for it here. Inside your 20?
Oh, he's like, oh, this ain't Madden. He was trying to be funny.
I know you tried to play it off, but I'm like, this man seriously suggested this.
We have a Commanders fan. He said, hell to the Redskins. They're the Commanders, man. They're not the Redskins. Be respectable. What does he say here? Hope Tyron Stevenson likes Crow because he's got a play full of it tonight. But we're going to get there.
We'll get to that. That after the fact type of footage you find when you take a second to look back at everything.
The Bears lost to Noah's Ark. What the fuck are you talking about?
He's talking Noah Brown. He's got to be Noah Brown.
Well, come up with a better joke, man. Donald Trump has better jokes.
So while we're at it, so Chicago goes up. We can. I think to say for later this week. I think you and I. This is the next of the all 22 type episodes. Is this week's?
Oh yes.
Because I definitely want to break. I want to see what this film looks like because this is definitely was Caleb's ugliest game so far as the Chicago Bear. And I know the beginning first 2.5 weeks were pretty meh. Yeah. This one was like it took 3.5 quarters to finally get something going. And I know there's a lot more factors besides some bad throws, but we need to see what was truly bad and what wasn't. I want to see that. But let's go to the Hail Mary fully now. Mm-hmm. Let's do that. I don't want to discuss this, but we have to discuss this because besides the fact that the Hail Mary comes down, there's a few things that have come to light on social media since the play took place. One is what Mr. Philip Goldman suggested. Tyreek Stevenson, buddy, what the hell are you doing there? Mm-hmm. You know, that's not the time to chirp with fans. Do that after the game when you win. What are you bragging about? And here's the thing we're talking about right here.
Talking shit. The play's going on.
And I know he hasn't thrown the ball yet, but like, come on, man.
No, I thought there was a hold up there. I was screaming.
Yeah, that's another thing we'll talk about too.
And a block in the back.
Yeah.
Good God.
And there you go.
Pat McAfee just put it on Instagram. And Pat McAfee said,
McAfee
wow.
McAfee actually put Tyreek on blast on X.
Well, on Instagram, he said, not 100% sure, but I think number 29 is going to have a bad time in meetings this week.
Oh, no. If I had my way in the position I were to have as Matt Eberflus, if I took over for him for a day, I would make the decision to bench him for a series. I would not put him as a starter next week. And I know he would still get to play the whole game, but just the symbolic gesture of saying, hey, we don't tolerate that. You don't get to step on the field the first series for that type of stuff. That to me is what I want to see. You know, I digress. So that was annoying. That being said, you analyze the play, he gets there. Now what sucks is, Hail Marys. It's a random play. It is basically you have to have perfect timing in certain areas. Defenders got to get back all the way. And the thing is, you're told to knock the ball down to the ground. Mm-hmm. That is the main thing. Knock it down and have guys that are both ahead and behind the last receiver on the field. Well, clearly, pretty much anyone in the secondary got tunnel vision, is what happened there. Someone leaked in the back, and unfortunately, the hand did not make a downward gesture from Tyreek Stevenson because he didn't have the angle to do it. He basically had just enough hand to palm it. Forces pushed it up in the air. And, the godly powers that are NFL beings above made it land in Noah Brown's hand. He just happened to be the one dude behind everything.
Well, and I don't know this for a fact, but since Tyron Stevenson was really far back there, if he wasn't fucking around, and talking to the fans, he could have seen the guy leak behind, and as he runs over there, be like, "Oh, I got
Mhm.
him." But you're too worried. I feel like I'm talking to our high school kids. You're too worried about talking to the fans, and this comes back to the whole thing. People say fans feel like they can say whatever they want because they paid that expensive ticket, and I agree and
Mhm.
don't agree. I think fans could say mostly what they want because they paid hundreds of dollars to come to said game. Now, if you're saying racist stuff and all that, no, like that part, no.
Oh
But you
god,
can
no. Yeah. Easily.
at NFL games, you can yell out like "you bum," blah 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 blah. They're going to say whatever they can to get underneath your skin. I can tell you this from like coaching football. I've heard fans talk stuff. I've heard the opposite opponent's teams talk stuff, and I don't listen to it. I'm just like, that's funny. Like it's funny to me
Mhm.
that you have to take time out of your breath to talk like that. And I tell my kids in high school all the time, don't worry about what they say to you. The best thing you can do is just to laugh at them and just say, I'll see you next play. And that bothers people. So when fans start yelling at you, it just has to be white noise at that point, static. But he
Right.
allowed it to somehow sink in. He wanted to be like, "We won, look at this." Like, no, like, there's a reason why you say you don't win until the final buzzer goes off no matter what it is.
Oh yeah, no, stand on business first. Do the celebrate. To me, you've been probably you're saying the same thing, but I've always been do your job first, celebrate and party hard afterward. And
Absolutely.
that's the thing. Like again, I'm not going to blame the whole game on Tyreek Stevenson. Clearly, it's one play, but like keep in mind, you have one moment to knock this thing down. It's in range for a quarterback that has a good enough arm to get it there. Just got to pay attention. That's the thing. It's not the play. It's a Hail Mary all the same, but still, it kills me. Something else that kills me, by the way, as we were getting going in this episode, is some people were questioning and this is where we'll get into the nitty gritty. Maybe someone will say it at the press conferences, but someone was asking like why certain personnel was on the field. So apparently Montez Sweat and Austin Booker were not arranged in the 4 down men that
Hmm.
were rushed, which kind of surprised me. Gervin Dexter was out there, but they didn't put their best edge rusher out there or what has been a young situational edge rusher in these situations out there. Kind of
You,
shocked me actually after reading that.
if you're going to send anybody, you send your very, very, very best pass rushers to hopefully get to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And Booker is athletic enough where if he feels like he can't get to the quarterback, he can drop back and do spy on Dan. Like just so many things. And so like I don't know if you could blame everybody, but that is a question mark. Hell, even on Hail Mary stuff, sometimes they'll put wide receivers in there because the receivers are usually taller.
Right.
For example, I know Tyreek Stevenson's short, so when he jumped up there, that's as high as he could jump, right? So that's why he couldn't bat it down. But he also ran from one side to the other to get there because he's too busy yapping. And again, I'm not blaming him, but it's like you could have put yourself in all you need is to be put yourself in the right situation or right spot to have a chance.
I'm sure.
And but again, like so I remember they used to put Gronk back there when he played for the Patriots. On any Hail Mary, they put him back there because he's 6'6" or 6'7", 6'8", whatever he is. He can catch. So like I'm not saying this is necessarily it, but like wouldn't you want to put like Cole Kmet back there or DJ Moore? Not both of them, but put one of them back there
Yeah.
and say, hey, you're in the end zone. If it's coming to you, there's somebody there. Like, I think there's a better way to do it. They were in position. It just like when Aaron Rodgers does it, he's done it a couple times. It always seems to happen. Was an Aaron Rodgers moment. And I do think it was karma seeing Tarek, because as soon as the game was over, we had to leave to test out our dogs being home, this new dog being home by himself without the cone. But I immediately turned it off. So I didn't see any of it. I didn't get on social media. I hadn't looked at it till you said it. That's karma. Like I firmly believe in karma, and that right there, and that's why everybody's saying God had a hand in it because you did that. This is what's going to happen, and I do sometimes agree with that. But you would think like a DJ Moore or Cole Kmet's back there, like, hey, I got you guys. Even just send 2 people, and maybe they were back there. I have no clue, but normally that's what you do. I know you want defensive guys out there, but still, like there's a reason why Bill Belichick was one of the smartest guys. He would put a couple of receivers back there. Um, oh God, oh
Wait.
God, this idiot.
Oh. Well,
Ghost of Judah Tribe Idiot is what his name is. I hope it's a 6-year-old kid.
I haven't seen him in a minute, but I guess welcome back. I will say Tyson Bagent, I don't feel like changes the outcome of this game, but I don't know. Maybe all 22 will reveal that differently. Again, keep in mind,
I'll give you a
Bears did
Bagent.
everything they needed to do. They had 15 unanswered and had to just hold them for one Hail Mary. And we talk about a completely different outcome and how the Bears might now have been 7-2 through the soft underbelly of the season. Now we're back to the 6-3.
This is the only thing he said I agree
schedule.
with. We need 4 quarters of football, not one.
I agree. I agree. I mean, look, defense bent, didn't break, stopped 4 touchdown drives, essentially. 3 of them that should have been with any better of a play call. They could have easily been up 21-0 at halftime.
Well, those beginning drives, a lot of pass plays were being called. And I'm sitting there going, we just literally talked about this. Like, I know the passing was considered their weakness, but like, you have to run the ball.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, showed eventually we got to that. And DeAndre, and what's going to get lost in the shuffle as well is DeAndre Swift's another career day, 121 yards on the ground. That 56-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, because of that long touchdown run, he averaged 7 yards. So that's where that average comes into play. But they stuck to it. Like, he started to find a rhythm. But another thing that sticks out as Bears fans is we start off slow. Like, I think DJ Moore talked about it like 3 weeks ago. He said, it just seems like we always try to dip our toe in before we don't just jump in. We always he said it feels like the offense just kind of feels out the other team instead of just going after them.
Yeah.
And that happened again today where it was like they always start off slow. And so that first drive, I was just like, okay, this is what they normally do. And then it just kept happening. So now this feeling it out took 2.5 quarters, almost 3 full quarters of just feeling out this team. I'm like, and some of it was play calling, some of it was the players. Cliff Kingsbury, I thought, called a good game. The different formations he was getting in, the moving, using the speed on the outside. Mm-hmm. He was doing a good job doing that. And they were talking about in the broadcast, other people talked about it. This season so far, he's been one of the best offensive play callers there is. He's coaching Daniels very well because he's coaching quarterbacks. And so just a lot of that. But the defense did what they had to do. I mean, again, you give up 18 points, you're in a position to win. And if you don't count the Hail Mary, you only gave up, 12 points?
I mean, again, you're talking about one play making the difference between a 5-2 roster that we're talking is then ahead of what is predicted for this stretch of games going into Arizona next week. Now, again, still on course, but again, it's deflating because, again, you have a defense that is there, holds its end of the bargain, and I'll admit, on the opposite side of the ball, Waldron and company got outcoached, outplayed, maybe outprepared. It took, like I said, near 2.5 to, I would say, arguably 3 quarters to finally find some sort of legs. And credit, thank God the defense held its own and only stuck to 12, because without that, we'd be talking like it was a complete waste of a day. And you're asking the defense, what else do you need to do? Well, it did everything. It stinks. And, I want to get into the full 22 film on the passing side of this, because I really feel like I said, between what I consider was great pressure and some misses, there's really got to be some breakdown on what was Dan Quinn and company, or Joe Witt, who's calling the plays. Dan Quinn's apparently relaying them. That was on broadcast. What were they doing confusion wise? Because I want to see this, Clearly something was throwing off the young QB today that was not the same as what he was seeing the last three performances he had been doing, that he's looked completely different. So I want to know. This will be a fascinating film watch, I think.
This was the best defensive play callers that I think Shane Waldron has gone up against. And
for this season, absolutely. And it's funny because I think not them. I'd say Tennessee's the other one, but Tennessee's kind of a wreck on the offensive side.
So, yeah, I would say before playing the Commander, let me rephrase this. They're all good. They're in the NFL for a reason. I
Mhm.
would say the Texans, Titans, and then Commanders. You could put the Rams up there, I guess, a little bit, but we were able to move the ball on them and stuff. But I would say overall, Dan Quinn was the best defensive minded guy they've gone up against. And it was a chess match, and he finally figured it out in the fourth quarter. But you can't always. I know the defense is playing good, but you can't always leave your defense in those positions as the year continues because they're going to continue to get if they get banged up. We get if we're out one or more two players next week with Kyle Gordon and Brinsker, it's going to look way different.
Yeah,
And you
I'm
can't,
wondering about the line. I mean, besides that, I'm wondering about again line availability too, because
yeah, now your
yeah,
offensive line availability. You lost two linemen today, and you had to put in what's his face from Hinsdale Central and Yale. He struggled. It was his first time playing out there, and then Jenkins got banged up twice.
mm-hmm.
And so now I'm definitely worried about that. And again, I know people are going to say, well, you're just an offensive lineman. Just keep them away. Just push them around. No, there's way more to that than playing a line. And like now we're starting to get into the schedule of it's going to just start getting tougher. The Cardinals are not a bad team.
Mm.
The Patriots is the only other one where you could sit there and go, okay, like you could get away with some of this probably against the Patriots. Then you start getting into the real meat and potatoes. Packers, Vikings, Lions. Like you cannot play this way on offense if you want to compete in that game. And unlike some of these teams, Vikings and Lions and Packers, oh my, you give up. They could turn some of these big yard or these yard games into more scoring. Like they're those type
Right.
of teams.
I did double check, by the way. This is the first time Chicago all season has given up any yardage above 350 to an opponent. So was definitely some missing pieces, I think, without a doubt, that hurt. You talk about passing game. I think at some point we're hoping Brisker gets back because I think you want an enforcer back there. To me, I still believe Kyler Gordon could have definitely changed some fortunes on this game at times. Sorely missed, I think, especially in the run game we saw. Pressures were decent, but I think it could have helped because I mean that's what Gordon they use him more. Yes, he does coverage, but he's at his best now as basically being used as a guy to go get into the mud. And they don't have really a get in the mud guy like that with both Brisker and Gordon off and inactive today.
Right. It just all sucks. It all sucks. Because I'm not saying Washington is going to win the Super Bowl, but they are out, like you said, they are outperforming everybody's
Well,
expectations.
they're a legitimate NFC North title contender right now. I mean, Philadelphia is looking like they've found something they were missing recently too. Today, no slouch, 37-17 win, but like Commanders are legit. I mean, that's something I'm with you. I hadn't really watched them closely. I just knew that they had been winning. No, that team's like right now like a playoff team. They're going to be having a say in at least the NFC East, and if they are staying atop the NFC East, they'll have a say right now in at least the seeding. Detroit's 6-1. They're controlling the destiny in the NFC right now. They look like basically the guys in the conference right now. But Washington, they're up there with the others. Surprisingly, I mean that's quite a 1-year turnaround right now.
I don't follow Adam Hogue anymore on Twitter, but his thing will still pop up. No. This is going to go differently than what you think.
No, it's funny. I will say he had some. He was very frustrated. You could tell on X today watching this game.
Well,
he was not a happy camper.
I just saw his tweet from 2 hours ago, and I actually agree with him for once.
Oh my God! I need to pull it up. Let's see this thing.
He said there was a blatant hold and illegal blindside block
on
the Hail Mary, and I agree with him. I saw it. He goes, but you still can't give up a Hail Mary. Somebody then did not do their job on the back end. Got to keep a man within the deepest player to defend the deflection, which we said. Then he said, also questionable Hail Mary personnel. A lot of small DBs back there. That's what I'm saying. You got to – here, hold on. Let me see so you can see it. Share screen. Here's his tweet.
Oh, yeah. I saw this one.
So, and you got people commenting, Rome and Cole Komet should have been back there. Crime was rushing 3 with a fucking spy when you have 7 guys deep. You
Mhm.
kind of have to because the guy can run, I guess, but I don't think they had a spy, so I'd have to watch the film again. I don't think they had a spy. I think everybody
No,
was
well,
doing
I
that.
don't. I'm going to find. Maybe I'll find it too. But I know, like I said, the personnel on the line was one that surprised me because it didn't make sense. Actually, yeah, here it is. So, according to the personnel via Next Gen Stats, and this is from Jake Flanagan, and I'll send this tweet over to you, and you can share it on screen. But the down linemen at the time were Walker and Dexter. I'm going to look this up off the top of the head. Who's 55? I'm feeling like a moron there. I'll find it. But the spy that's being referenced is not it's not it's just TJ Edwards playing linebacker. So it's not an actual, I mean, you could say it's a spy, I guess. I wouldn't call that a spy in that situation, but
Oh, now I see him. He pops on the screen. Um, I mean, he's probably there in case somebody comes on and they try to do like a hook and ladder too. Like that, there's
well,
a
I'm
lot of
sure.
scenarios that can come into play. Do I agree with it? No, I don't. You send your 3 best pass rushers of all time, send them after him, and then you send the rest of them back.
Mhm.
Like, and you have to put an offensive guy in there that's tall enough to and say, your job is to be in the end zone. Yeah, don't freaking move. And if somebody's getting into the end zone, that's your job.
Oh, it was okay. I found it. It was Jacob Martin, who was the other one. But I mean, I think that also raises like what we're talking is that the right personnel to have at that time?
And you had timeouts, right? So in that moment, you could have called a
They
timeout
did
and
indeed
set
have
it up.
timeout. I think they had all 3.
So if you have timeouts and you're even thinking that for a second, like I know that gives Washington a chance to draw up something, but it's like, no, all they have left is throwbacks, the hook and ladder, whatever, and just a Hail
Mhm.
Mary. That's all they've got. So in that situation, if you call timeout, then you could put a spy back there, but make sure it's like one of the fastest dudes there. Put Cole Komet or DJ Moore, whoever, in the back with the rest of the DBs. Put your tallest dudes back there. Have them stand 5 yards
Mhm.
and in the goal line, and say your job is to make sure everything's in front of you, and you just need to drop the ball down. That's it.
You would you'd think, yeah. It sucks, and that's going to be questioned. You know, I already know the press conferences are probably going that direction where it's like, why didn't? What's the personnel like? Why did you do it this way? Blah 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 blah. And not much we can do there. It's going to get scrutinized. I think what sucks is what will be lost is just what is a downright. This is a disappointing offensive affair. But here's the here's the at least next gen stats 4-man down set.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got Martin who's on the left side of the field on the camera. Then you got Dexter makes sense at nose. They put Walker on the right, and then they have TJ. Which look, it's not like Walker's not a bad pass rusher. We know Garvin Dexter can get back there, but man, why is Sweat off the field here?
Right.
Minimum.
Like me personally, you put up here on your 3 pass rushers of all time. Then you put like 1, 2, 3 back here, like on the around between the 30 and the 20, just in case they do like a hook and ladder bullshit. Then everybody else is back in the back.
Yeah.
Or even 2 guys here and everybody else in the back. One of those guys be, like I said, an offensive guy that can go up and catch it. I know that you tell them to tip it down, but even if they catch it and get tackled, that's better than what just happened. Then over here, you got fucking Stevenson over here talking shit.
I mean, that's what's funny. You can see in the next gen how far out he is from everyone else.
Oh, that made it worse. I didn't know that happened when I hopped on here until you said I had
Yeah,
no clue.
I saw that just before I got before I got on here. I was like, oh my God, that's going to get ripped apart all week. Just one of our best, our number 2 outside corner, just completely deciding to not participate for like 3 seconds of a play.
I also love, because I'm looking at Twitter as this is going on, and all I see is fire the coach. All I see is we have the stupidest coaches. And I think it's funny because you weren't saying that 2 weeks ago. You know
And
what
see,
I
that's
mean?
why I'm not going crazy over that, because this isn't fireable. You know, this is not a fireable offense. This is something that, again, if you have one proper defensive play, if you have the defenders properly read and knock it down, we're not talking about this. We're talking about an incredible comeback, gritty win by Chicago. You know, can't believe he pulled it off. The old Bears last 2 years wouldn't have done this, blah, 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 blah. But no, that's just how it goes.
Here's another video that I just saw of Tyreek Stevenson.
Ooh, a different angle?
No, this is something completely different.
Okay.
Is it showing up? There it is.
Oh, I saw that. I remember this from the game.
He's trying to like poke him in the eye. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was a really dumb penalty.
What are you doing, man?
That I believe is the drive that was the last one to get a field goal attempt, if I remember right.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Yeah, I think that was the drive that got them their 4th field goal of the game.
He's got to be more disciplined. And
I like here's the thing. It's funny because I don't have a problem with Tariq with this. I've had more problem with Brisker with this.
yeah,
I don't mind guys that have energy or attitude. I think you should. I think there should be some sort of presence on a football field, but it gets to the point where you almost sip your own Kool-Aid a little too much and you get distracted. And I understand Tyreek is this, by Bears fan standards, he's this up and coming star. He's a definitive number 2 set cornerback. We've got our guy, and he's been playing that way. It's fine, but like, hey, focus up, dude. Stay in the moment for a second. You cannot be the detriment of a football team solely. There's no place for people like that on teams. So it's a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying. Brisker, I'm not saying has been a penalty guy, but like Stevenson, that's not a trend you want to go down the road of, is all I can tell you.
No, I don't mind like having an edge to you, but you got to pick and choose when you do it. So if it's going to give a team a better field position, you try to poke. It's one thing to like point at them and say something. That's one thing. But then you're trying to get in their face, like that type of stuff. Like,
look, you know who I don't want to be? This is what I'm saying you can't be. I don't want to see on this team another Javon Wims. That's it. Another guy has his own agenda, does his own thing, says, F the team. This guy pissed me the hell off. I'm going to go and just do my own thing. Or these fans, screw these fans. Like, no. See, you can't be that. You can be all the talent you want in the world, but if you're self-detrimental on the field, it's not going to help you win football games.
No,
and that's not saying he's done that all year, but that's not a good way to start out. And that's why I'm hoping this week, if the team does things right, they do not put him on the starting roster to start the game next week against Arizona, symbolically. So basically, like, hey, sorry, you lost that privilege. You get to play, but you're not going to be a starter this week.
If Brisker and Gorin come back, I think they will. If they're back, they could probably sit there and say, you know what, we feel pretty good about this. You're not going to play until we feel like you can play. Right.
I've got a feeling Brisker will be back. I'm wondering, Kyler, I don't know if that will happen just because hamstring, it's a little trickier. Concussions, it feels like you can get, depending on the severity, I guess. It's been a few weeks. That helps.
But see, this is where I know Brisker is kind of like that guy, but he's also like a leader. So I think if this was happening, he might be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Like, Sweat and them should have said, like, what are you doing? Right? This is where you miss like a Roquan Smith because he probably would have grabbed him and been like, stop. Like, what are you doing? And I don't know if his teammates will give him as much crap for that at the end there.
Hang on. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm going to send you Tyreek Stevenson apparently has tweeted out an apology for his conduct on the Hail Mary here. It's in the chat. You can post it up. But I'll read it off real quick. To Chicago and teammates, my apologies for lack of awareness and focus. The game ain't over. Game ain't over until zeros hit the clock. Can't take anything for granted. Notes taken. Improvement will happen. Bear down. But clearly, he's catching a lot of flack.
Oh,
for
yeah.
very obvious reasons.
Yeah, he is. Okay, you apologize for it. Okay. Cool. But, like, you're better than that. You have to be better than that.
Yes.
And the biggest thing he said there was the game ain't over. No shit. High school kids know that.
Right. It's not a good example. And again, I know he apologized. I'm just saying, I think there's at least some, like I said, I'm not saying like this ain't just suspended a game thing or whatever, or fine someone. I'm just saying, look, Matt seems to run a tight ship.
Mhm.
I'm actually kind of surprised at that poor discipline right there from Tyreek. I just
Mhm.
think that's like, hey, look, we don't do this crap. This is what happens when we do this crap. That's all I want to see. Just like something to set the tone, saying, hey, this is what happens when you mess around.
Yeah, it needs to be like, you're not starting and you're not going to play until I seem dear necessary, because not starting is not a big deal. Like, if you think about it, like, oh, you're not playing for the first drive, then you go in. Does that
Mm-hmm.
really affect them? It needs to be like, hey, you're not going to play. And you're going to suit
Right.
up.
It affects a personal stat. You lose like consecutive starts or whatever by
I
stat
guess,
book standards. But,
but I think
besides that, yeah.
the words I think need to be, you're suiting up. You might play. I have no idea when you're going to play. Even if he knows it's going to be after the first drive, it just needs to be said of, hey, you're not starting. You're suiting up. You could play. I have no idea when you're going to play, because this
Mm-hmm.
is ridiculous. And now, could he play after the first drive? Absolutely. So then his mind is racing, like, when am I going to get in? And that, I know he's an adult, so like this works better with like high school and college. Like, hey, you're going to suit up. I have no idea. I haven't decided yet. We've done
Yeah.
that. We've done that this year. When am I going to play? And me and the head coach will go, I don't know. Even though we deeply knew when they were going to go back in, but we're like, we don't know. And then like the game started. Am I going to play? I don't know. Like, the game's about to kick off. I don't know. And it does affect players a little bit. So I think that's the wording that needs to happen. So if he is starting, does that mean that Eberflus doesn't care, or does he take care of it this week in practice? Like, I'll handle in practice, like
Well,
running and this stuff.
yeah, I don't know if there's any, I haven't seen any quotes from Eberflus about it. So if he doesn't say anything tonight, I mean, he's going to get asked about. Chicago media is going to bring it up
Hmm.
because it's all over the place, and it's Chicago media. They're relentless.
When
They're
did
going to
he
bring it
tweet?
up to him.
When did he tweet that out?
That was about 10 minutes ago that Tyreek put that out there.
Oh, okay. Because on Twitter for oh my god, I'm horrible at technology. 670, the score said Tyreek Stevenson offers no comment, and this was 57 minutes ago. So
It was
maybe he just didn't
probably
want to
his
talk to the
It
media.
was probably his comment. I think he realized he had to say something.
Yeah. Other Bears lame it failure on stunning last second Hail Mary. So it's they're mainly saying lick our wounds and we gotta get back to work.
And it's fair. Again, the narrative changes if you knock this Hail Mary down completely.
Mhm.
Tough win. We're ahead of schedule still,
Right,
and we took down a top tier opponent in the
right,
NFC.
right.
But again, now you're back to going great. F around and find out. Karma. This is what happens when you don't execute. And also, as we've seen with our buddy here in the chat, who's I think gone at this point, there's gonna be people talking about Caleb's poor performance on the offensive side, along with Shane Waldron's game plan
Right.
for the night. So a lot of things they'll be asked now.
Keenan Allen on Marquee Bears said, in the locker room, there's no time to start pointing fingers. Just come back ready to work. So that's been kind of the theme, is they're all kind of
Good veteran
saying,
answer right there, by the way.
right. I was kind of waiting for a game like this from Caleb. I know he kept getting better, but he is a rookie. So at some point I was waiting, not a regression, but like he's going to have rookie moments. And again, once we watch the film, from watching, so I'm sure like everybody else, when you watch a football game, your eyes go to the quarterback, your eyes go to the running backs, right? Like you kind of. So
Mhm.
today, as he was struggling, I tried to get my eyes to the receivers the best I could, and I know they go off screen a little bit. But there were times I thought somebody was open for what I could see. Whether that's part of the read or not is hard to tell. But then when I started to hear seeing people on Twitter saying that he's missing open guys, when I heard announcers and stuff like that saying that he's missing some guys, even when he has somewhat of a pocket, he was missing them. So I'll be curious to see if he was kind of reverting back. And that's what we talked about pregame is this bye week going to slow them down a little bit? And there's probably a part to that. Like, hey, the whole argument of when you clinch a playoff spot and you're going to have a home playoff game, do you rest your starters that week and then you get ready? Do you like that type of stuff? That's sometimes what a bye week can do. I think you can kind of lose your momentum that you had going on. You need the bye week. They definitely need it, but like you said, it's frustrating. We could be sitting here with one loss. We could be sitting here with one loss or even just 2 losses.
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the difference between Indianapolis, we've said. Washington right here is another one. You know? Just looking over his stats to just check here. So yeah, we're going to talk about accuracy. Worst completion percentage of his career so far. Very young career, but it's the worst day he's had. That way, second worst day for passing yards he's ever had. And by yards per attempt, it's his third worst. So he only took 2 sacks, which I'll be honest with you, I think that's pretty shocking given that he was pressured consistently. I actually would love to see the pressure numbers whenever Pro Football Reference posts them up, because I imagine those pressure numbers were pretty high. He was under duress near every passing down.
And again, I can't stress enough, there was a lot of times where he stood in that pocket with everything barreling down on him and still, even if it was an incompletion, to get rid of it. And some he got rid of and made some plays in those couple last drives. Amazing job in those situations. Still did some good things, but in that first half, it was bad. Like he couldn't, even when he had no pressure, he wasn't hitting the receivers where he needed to. And I don't know. I think I heard, again, Tony Romo say this, give and take, whatever it means, if it's true or not. He said he saw Caleb doing more checks at the line and stuff. So did they just give him way more to do, and that kind of messed with him, thinking too much?
This must be the perfect. This must be the perfect time of night to do a show like this, because here's another one. Speaking of the pressures, I'm going to send it right your way, and we'll post up the tweet. But I will read the tweet off. This comes from Carmen Vitale here over at Fox Sports. And she posts, according to Next Gen Stats, Caleb Williams was pressured 51.6% of dropbacks today and had just 2.47 seconds time to pressure average. It's the highest pressure percentage and quickest time to pressure of his career. So to show you how in the face the Commanders were today, that was the worst pressure he's faced all season, was against Washington. The most time to hurry up, the most time to get going on plays. It was against Dan Quinn, of all people, which, hey, shocker, him and Joe Wilt's defense being as good as it was. And then, Carmen also points out last 2 drives, he went 5'8", 95 yards, helped lead the Bears to what should have been 2 scoring drives. So kept him in it. But again, I mean, that's where I want to see the film, because clearly, and like I said, 2 sacks doesn't tell the story. That's exactly what I was looking for. That's a lot. I mean, there was little time to breathe all day. And I just want to see those pressures, and one was open.
Tell me on the right side of the screen if this is a hold or not.
Oh, the other discussion. Let's see.
He was extending this.
Right there it is. Yes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Because while I will not give it, if you have your hands close to the chest, if he doesn't let go when he rips, which clearly it's a pull, that's a hold. Okay. By NFL standards, that's a hold.
Yeah, like I'm okay with that not being a hold. I'm okay with that not. Right about here, I start to question it.
Once you see his shoulder pad creeping through the jersey, you know it's a hold.
Okay, I just wanted to didn't mean to get you off your flow. You're right.
No.
Everything's popping up right now on Twitter. So you're just kind of like,
This is like the perfect time of night to like do this, is because now you're getting all the stats and stuff to talk about to piece the puzzle together. But no, that's a hold. By NFL standard, if you're trying to rip away from a tackle like that, and I can see the jersey not in the place it should be, I'm throwing the flag. And I'm getting the sense that some laxation on the referee's part, because it's a Hail Mary, crept into the situation. They'll never admit it, but this is a classic Hail Mary. I'm just letting everything go. F it. It's already a freaking free-for-all. As long as it's kind of close, I'm not going to call it. Right. And I think that's what happened.
And I saw it live. I remember looking at it, seeing the rip. I'm like, that's a hold. And then I think if the play develops, there's another like block kind of near the back of somebody. I'm like, are you going to throw a flag? And then they threw it
block
up.
in the back. I heard about that too. Yeah, I think the refs just kind of got a little too lackadaisical and just kind of said, back off. We know this is the last play.
Right, and it's Hail Mary. It never happens. It never gets caught. It's going to be batted down. He's not Aaron Rodgers.
Okay,
it's not happen.
There's no way a Rodgers type play is going to happen here. The non-face mask.
I don't know. It all sucks. It all sucks because
you got, and this is where the overreacting part is. Here's one you're going to have a fun laugh and credit. Hey, I like hypotheticals, but let's be frank. Are we really going to, do you know what needs to be done to change the defensive side of this? I love it. This person here. Ben Johnson, HC, Robert Saleh, DC. Don't overcomplicate it. It's like the defense isn't the problem, guys. It's not the problem there. I don't even think. Again, I don't think the coaching was the issue with this game. Besides, offensive coordinator getting out coached.
Yeah. Now,
that's it.
I would love to have Ben Johnson at OC. But I will say this: you got to be careful with that. Is he a good OC because of the players he has? I do think part of it's Ben Johnson, but that's always a question mark. Is you got
to be fair, if we were to talk this hypothetical, him coming to Chicago, he would go from loaded offense to on paper loaded offense.
That's true.
It would just be coming down to basically doing what he did with Jared Goff and just saying, okay, let's fit this together with you. Maybe they treat Roshan Johnson more like a slightly taller David Montgomery, and they do more Thunder and Lightning. I don't know. But this is like fantasy land here, But I see your point. This is this is one play away from going from crazy town to, oh my God, we got out of there, but hell yeah. We're 5-2.
Well, yeah, but I kid you not. Before the Hail Mary happened, I already had in my head what we were going to talk about because I thought they were going to win. And I had a different conversation. And then that happened. I'm like, shit.
I was ready to go, oh my God, we pulled this off. Couldn't believe it.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. So Bears are now 4-3, and they could be 6-1 right now. That's kind of where it's at. So if there's any positive to this, is that as bad as they played against a team that can move the ball on people and was scoring 20-some to 30-some points, it seemed like a game. You hold them, even with the Hail Mary, you hold them to 18. You had them at 12, and they were all field goals. You only gave up one touchdown, right?
It was a Hail Mary. That's all you gave up.
You gave up the one touchdown. The offense played really bad. And so as bad as you played, you're still right there in the game. So I guess there are still some positives to be built, but it's problems that now in this point of the season, we thought it was figured out. I thought it was figured out. Now we're kind of taking a step back. So now you really got to figure it out because like we said, your next Arizona's no cakewalk.
No, they're around your competition right now,
So the next one where you're allowed to do something like this to me is the Patriots. After that, you can't play that way anymore at all. Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings again, Lions again, Seahawks, Packers. You can't do this again.
The soft underbelly is coming to a close very soon.
And
The
with how good the NFC
November,
North is,
the November push to potential playoff berth is going to get serious very quickly in the most competitive division in the NFL.
mhm, and with how good the NFC North is, you don't have a lot of wiggle room.
No.
This isn't where it's just one team and everybody's fighting for that one team. You have 3 potential champions right now. Lions are number 1, Packers are number 2, Vikings are 3rd.
Now, yeah, I will say one that I noted that this week, something I'll keep an eye on, and it's because that opponent's coming up soonish. Jordan Love went down with a thumb injury today. Did you hear that?
I did. I saw that he went down again.
Now, not saying again, I don't hope for injuries or anything, but that does change the dynamic of the Packers if he's out for a longer term time. Chicago gets them, was it 3 weeks from now? I believe we talked about now.
Mhm.
So, might be the Malik Willis show soon.
Yep, November 17th at home. 5
So,
days after my birthday, so hopefully it's a
that's
good
something I'm
one.
watching to kick things off later in November.
And they got to travel to play the Cardinals next weekend.
Which
305.
which I'm looking to get tickets for. I haven't gotten that yet, but I'm
Ooh,
looking to get a
there you
ticket
go.
for that.
There you
So
go.
we might be on location.
305 time slot on CBS. And then we get back to our regular scheduled programming of noon kickoff, which it's weird to watch the Bears. I know you're in a different time zone, but here, like, it's weird to watch them at 3:30. I'm so used to noon
I
or
find
night.
it weird. I find it weird to watch them at 10 o'clock morning time when
That
they
would
air.
be weird.
Yeah.
That would
So it was kind of nice to get like a 125 kickoff. It felt like I was back in the Midwest a little bit.
Yeah, it was
But
weird for me to watch them at 3:30. I'm so used to waking up, doing what I need to do, and then when noon hits, you're just sitting down watching, and then when they're done at 3 or 3:30, then you can do what you need to do the rest of the day. When they're on at 3:30, you're like, "Oh my god, it's 6:30 at night, like the day's gone."
oh boy. Hey, speaking of that matchup next week when we talk more about it, the NFC West. Now, barring the completion of this current Sunday night affair, which San Francisco seems to have started taking a stranglehold over Dallas, we're talking 3, 4-4 teams, and the Rams at 3-4 in the same division
Mhm.
after this week. And the Cardinals will be in that conversation when they host Chicago next week.
What a weird division.
I know. Right?
Didn't this happen
Yeah.
before where was it this division where they were all like 8-8 or something? Like they were all
I remember a time when, and this was during the first beast mode run. When they were, I think they were the first 7-9 squad or first sub 500
that's
team to
yes.
ever make a playoff berth.
I remember
And
that's the
yeah,
time.
that's
Yep.
because the West was so atrocious back in I think it was 2011.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
Until the Seahawks became what they were. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4-4, 4-4, 3-4, 3-4. Good God Almighty and a half.
Yeah. The West is gonna,
Arizona's number one.
I know. And the thing is, they came from behind to beat a Tua-led Dolphins today. I thought they were dead in the water.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I know trap game is not the right word, but like, this isn't. Again, I thought Washington wasn't going to be what they were this year. I thought Arizona was going to be way worse than what they were, and they're proving it
Yeah.
wrong. I know they're not Washington level, but they are doing okay.
I mean,
And so,
I'll be frank, given how the division's playing out and who Los Angeles just got back from IR. My money, if I were betting, is switching to the Rams coming out on top by the end of the year. But
it's possible.
things can change. San Francisco could get its freaking gears underneath and get healthy. Arizona, maybe they get on a streak. Seattle's weird. They're a weird team to me anymore. Like they should be better than their record states, but they always seem to underperform at times and then overperform at the strangest games.
Yep, they always do. They play to the level of the team they're playing. So if they're playing a team that is mid-tier, they play mid-tier, or if not
Mhm.
worse. If they play a really good team, then they want to play good. So
Exactly.
it's all weird. That division, whew, they, an 8-8 team might make the playoffs. 8-9 team might make
The
the
West may
playoffs.
be won by an 8 and 9 roster.
If not even like a 9-8 or something, or 9 whatever. Like it might come down.
One of these days, we're gonna get a 7 and 10 squad winning a division, and I'll be disgusted.
And they fired Lovie Smith after a 10-6 season.
Oh, don't worry. But Lovey couldn't get the win, and the Vikings rode Adrian Peterson's best season of 2,000-yard, one possession or two game away from setting the record for a single season rushing season away. That's why Lovey got fired. Things are different now. Those years have gone by, but the bitterness doesn't always go away.
It will never go away. But he still helped the Bears out by getting the number 1 draft pick. So he's still
Thank you. Always a Bear, man. Always a Chicago Bear.
He's always a Bear. He needs to be he needs to work in the front office or something. Like, you're always a Bear. Come on home.
I think that'd be kind of cool if he found his way to a front office role for a little bit.
Or like a scouting role. Like, hey, you scout all defensive guys for me because you're a defensive-minded guy. Go scout some defensive. Go scout the college guys. Go scout the free agency. This is your job.
That'd be fun.
Or they could do what they did with the Packers are doing with Saleh. Hey, you're going to be an offensive analyst guy because you're a defensive guy. You could help us figure out how to attack these people on offense.
God, or can you imagine freaking Matt LaFleur? You have Robert Saleh get fired because they choose Aaron Rodgers and those folks, even though Aaron says it's not the case, they basically chose Rodgers and his cronies over Robert Saleh. You know, Nathaniel Hackett's there, but he's not calling plays, but Nathaniel Hackett's still there. So you get to choose to bring Robert Saleh, who you're friendly with, to your team to do extra work while he's getting paid, as Robert states, $20K a day to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
As the Jets continue to become even more mediocre after the trade with Davante Adams than they already were. Losing to the Patriots today, of all teams, who are in a transition period right now and just went through being berated online because Gerard Mayo calls his players soft. And you're the laughing stock of the NFL still.
Right. What a weird time. To end this, I want to have a good laugh. Did you see Dwayne Wade's statue?
Oh, it's disgustingly bad. It's terrible.
You know,
that's not Dwayne Wade.
What's the movie where Kyrie Irving is playing the old guy?
Uncle Drew.
He looks like Uncle Drew.
Like, why did they make him look so old? He looks like he should be in a geriatric ward.
Like, this is terrible. This is the worst statue I've ever seen.
That's up there with the Ronaldo statue.
Yes, this statue, the rest of it's fine. It's the face.
Which, hang on, or the Ronaldo bust. Which let me send that photo your way.
This is so bad. And Dwayne Wade walked by and he's looking at it. And I'm like, you got to be sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is
terrible. It's just terrible. I mean, like I said, that's up there with one of the worst ones.
It won't let me open it.
It won't? What if I send you the photo?
Redirect notice. What are you redirecting me to?
Well, that's
is this the statue? Oh, yeah, maybe it's this one. Okay, maybe I found it.
If you did, I just downloaded a Ronaldo pic bust on. There it is.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's
how
terrible.
Can anyone forget about that ugly mug?
Yeah, that's terrible.
And that's considered like one of the worst busts ever made. I mean, that's like the bar, or sorry, that's like the gold standard of terrible recreations.
The NBA should hire the Hall of Fame guy that does the faces for the Hall of Fame guys because those look good.
I think anyone that needs something like that should probably just hire that person or that firm, whoever's doing that, because they are near 1-to-1 every single time.
That statue is so bad, and Dwayne Wade's looking at it, and he seems excited. But he's like shaking his head. But I'm like,
Well,
do you know what that looks like, man?
I love how he says, "Who's that guy?"
Oh, this is funny too. Like, sorry, I'm on an NBA thing, but I just think it's hilarious. I want to be laughing. Where did it go? There it is. They cropped his picture out and put it
Oh
there.
my God, no way.
Like, you got to be kidding me.
The internet is undefeated. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I can't believe they did that.
Just go to Twitter and type in Dwayne Wade, and it just.
They did that man so dirty. So wrong.
Here's a tweet that says everyone is roasting the statue of Dwayne Wade as totally being unlike the actual person. But here's the thing: he has launched a charity to permanently. Oh, never mind. Never mind. This is a political tweet. Never mind.
Oh, never mind.
We're gonna stop.
Oh, that's good. That's funny.
Oh, here we go. Let's see. Then we'll wrap it up. But this is funny too. So somebody puts this picture up. It's the statue. Says it looks like him.
Kelsey Grammer. Let's look at the reply. You see the reply from Vic Vela?
Oh, that's even better.
That's just even better. Freaking Frasier reference. That's gold.
It's so bad.
It's just like I say, he looks like they aged him even older than he is. How do you do that?
Like it's
like extra wrinkles everywhere for no reason.
He's got crow's feet here. He's got this weird wrinkle here.
It's like he's dying.
Oh my God.
Mistakes were made.
He kind of looks like, I want to make sure I'm right. Where's the picture? He kind of looks like Darth Sidious from Star Wars.
Oh no, really? Man, if I had time to Photoshop that, I totally would.
Oh, I might do that to make my life. Share screen.
You should post that on your social when you do that. Like, I know how I do it, but that's great.
Look at the wrinkles.
Oh no, now I see it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it now.
Now I can't unsee it. That's terrible. That's terrible, dude. Dwayne Wade. The NBA's Dark Lord.
Poor Dwayne Wade. I'm not a fan of him after basketball with some of his choices.
Who is responsible for basketball changing? It is I.
It is.
It is the D Wade.
Oh God. All right. Well, I think we covered it. Bears are now 4-3. Hopefully, they get it figured out as they travel a long ways to your neck of the woods to play the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going out there. That venue's really good, by the way. I do like used to be State Farm. Now I think it's State Farm Stadium now, but no, that one's great. State Farm Stadium. I'm going to call it that because I know it's been that. It's a really good venue. It's there for Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Can't wait to go there for a football game, an NFL game.
Yep, I'm sure it will be a fun time. So Bears hopefully get it figured out next week. We'll be back to do a film breakdown, I'm sure, this week at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Then can't do anything Friday, folks. I have my playoff game. We made the playoffs. We play Friday night.
Oh, yeah. Wishing you the best there. Get that hopefully sectional bound soon enough.
Well, we have to travel 2 hours
to
play this team.
Really?
So I'm not going to get home till like midnight. Something like that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Yikes.
so it's going to have to be like by Thursday, we'll have a film breakdown segment here, and then we'll discuss when we'll come back to talk about it. But thanks, you guys, for watching or listening. We'll see you guys next time.